We hear about, things that are happening around the world, around New Zealand, cuts being made, and apparently the Suicide Prevention Office could close if a proposed Ministry of Health job cuts go ahead. So today, these are the things that have come out today. Today there has been what's the right word? A diarrhea of policy ideas and stuff that have come through. And here's one that they're looking like there's a possibility that Suicide Prevention Office may go under job cuts. Let's have a look.
The latest round of government job cuts has seen the proposed disestablishment of the Suicide Prevention Office.
The Ministry of Health today proposed a restructure which would reduce its headcount by 134 jobs, including the Director of the Suicide Prevention Office. Political editor Jenna Lynch joins us for more on this. Kia ora, Jenna. What's the Ministry's reasoning for this?
Yeah, so this is just the latest in the public services effort to meet the proposed cut targets by the government. The Ministry for Social Development also today opened a round of voluntary redundancies. Now, the Suicide Prevention Office was created in 2019 by the then Labor government in response to a key recommendation of the Mental Health Inquiry. The Ministry of Health is proposing the disestablishment of the director of that office along with two other roles. It's also proposing the two remaining roles within that unit be absorbed into the wider mental health team at the ministry, which the office operated within. It says that the suicide prevention work will continue even if the office does not. Now, this news has been met with pretty mixed reaction from the sector. Memo Musa from Platform Trust, that's a body that represents a number of mental health NGOs, said that they would be disappointed by any moves that would affect the planning, strategy or delivery of suicide prevention, whereas others I spoke to in the sector said that while the office did some quite good work, it was never really resourced well enough to reach its full potential. Quite surprising development just before we came to air.
This part of the story is actually particularly interesting, and I don't think anyone else, because you guys know us, we always get out ahead of the rest of the media. I don't think anyone else has quite picked up on this next part of the story as we have yet. It's actually quite telling, and it paints the national-led government in a hypocritical light. Is that right? Hypocritical? It feels wrong. Light. So have a listen to this bit clear, then I'll explain afterwards.
I got a statement through from the Minister of Mental Health, Matt Ducey, who has been completely caught off guard by this. He said that the closure of the Suicide Prevention Office was never raised with him, and he's now spoken to the Director General of Health to make his expectations clear that the office remain open and that the suicide prevention work continues. Obviously, the closure of a Suicide Prevention Office is not a headline you want when you are the first ever mental health minister in this country.
So, really, really important point, whānau. Matt Ducey, mental health minister, has got involved, right? Matt Ducey has come up and said, this is not going to happen, guys. We're not going to lose it. And, for that, Chewy, awesome. I applaud him. Great. Fantastic. However, we have been getting told by Mr. Luxon for weeks and months, every time he gets challenged on what's going to happen in this department, he has said, well, that's for them to decide. Well, that's for them to decide. No, I won't be getting involved. That's for them to decide. We trust them. So up until this point, National has been hands off. These ministries and the departments will make the decisions for themselves. We are not going to interfere. As soon as a bad fucking headline comes up, all of a sudden, national ministers are starting to interfere. I'll say again, I'm very glad he interfered. But you can't, when you want to avoid a question and avoid an uncomfortable interview, go, they'll have to decide for themselves. And then all of a sudden, when the opposite happens, when the ministry decides for itself, you go, sorry, you can't do that. You can't have it fucking both ways, Luxon. You either take your hands off and you put up with the bad headlines when there's not enough funds to keep open the suicide prevention office, or you take responsibility for the decisions and you go hands on. You can't go hands off when you want to avoid the conversation, and hands on when what the ministry decides doesn't look good in a headline. You can't have it both ways. And media, do your fucking job and chase up these people you have access to. Chewy.
We don't need suicide prevention. Famously, New Zealand's suicide rate is well in hand, and I assume that if they want to get rid of this department, then it's mission accomplished. And we've solved suicide in this country that famously has excellent mental health. Excellent. We love talking about our feelings, and all of our social services are incredibly well funded. So this is just a storm in a teacup. Obviously, Jesus fucking Christ.